Yo, yo, what up, party people in the place to be? My name is Bobbito Garcia, aka Cool Bob Love, repping this for a better chance. ABC, a Students of Color scholarship program that provides placements to young people who show promise since the early 1960s. I think 1962 to be exact was the starting point. In 1982, I had the fantastic opportunity to be tested and recognized as one of the top students academically in the country. And I was sent with the support of a better chance to Lower Merion High School in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, which all of you should know because 12 years later, the late and great legend himself of the NBA and basketball world, Kobe Bryant, attended there. But I was there 12 to 14 years before him. And, we were putting the school on the map back then too. Um, so I'm indebted to Lower Merion ABC program for what it presented to me in my life, where it took me. And I want to share tonight for the alumni, the creating leaders for a lifetime alumni showcase that a better chance is doing to support them, to help raise funds. This year with the pandemic, it's been rough. Their annual gala was canceled. So we're just trying to do this virtually. Thank you for everyone who has already supported and made a donation. You can still do that while this Q&A is going on at the page, the event page on the ABC site. And I'm going to encourage you to do that throughout this Q&A. And I really hope that you're feeling what's going on with the questions. You can also, speaking of questions, there are already some that have been sent. Throughout the next hour, you are more than welcome to utilize the chat to send more questions, and I'll try to get to everybody's question best possible. I want to particularly thank Gianna, Joseph, and Nicole for reaching out and showing the brother some love. With my film, Rock Rubber 45s, you see the post in the background. It's an autobiographical documentary which I produced, directed, music supervised, and funded. That was released in 2018, and I could not include my narrative without the presence of my high school years, which my two at ABC Lower Merion were a big part of. So before I get to the questions and start building on that, I want to recognize some of the sponsors. We want to thank the Bridgewater Associates, ooh-wee, Lori and Peter Allen Atkins, the Costas Family Foundation, boom, boom, Deloitte, ooh, DuPont, ha, Theo and Dana, Killian, Henry R. Kravis, Ronald R. and Mary H. Pressman, Skadden, ARPS, Slate, Meager and Flom LLC, as well as Stanley, Black, and Decker for making this event possible and for securing a better chance for the next generation. All right, people, we're going to switch to the questions now. Let's see what we got here. If you just tuned in, my name is Bobbito Garcia, aka Cool Bob Love. And we are going to get to some of the questions. Where are they? Yeah, having a good time? If you're having a good time, throw your hands up in the air wherever you at. Ha! All right. Gotta get loose. All right, so first question is, what inspired you to create this movie about your life? So I am an independent filmmaker and have been one since 2010. My first documentary was titled Doing It in the Park, Pickup Basketball NYC. It was a collaboration with the French, an up-and-coming French cinematographer by the name of Kevin Coolio, who's since gone on to do Nike ads and Brand Jordan ads and Red Bull and FIBA events. But I was just curious I had been on camera so much during the 90s and the early 2000s. And I really had just an idea and a lot of inspiration to get behind the camera, not physically, but in terms of directing. And I came up with this idea that no one had ever done a documentary about pickup basketball in New York. How could that be? How could there never have been a documentary about pickup basketball, period? So because New York is my area of expertise, I'm born here in 1966, raised here, and will live and die in the playgrounds of my beloved sport. We went out and did a documentary titled "Doing in the Park," and it wound up winning the award for best feature at the Urban World Film Festival in 2012. It also won the best documentary award at the New Jersey Film Festival. And eventually it was a DIY project. We did a Kickstarter campaign, and eventually it got picked up for distribution and, found itself on PBS and also Netflix, which was empowering because I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. And so that was the first step. The second step was to figure out, well, what's missing in documentaries that I know I'm an expert at. And I came with the idea to do a film about me and Stretch's radio show in the 1990s, which was the platform to launch the careers of Nas, Biggie, Wu-Tang, Eminem, Jay-Z, Big Pun, Mobb Deep. I mean, I didn't really know the metrics at the time, but looking back when I was writing the treatment for the film, turned out that the unsigned artists and up-and-coming artists that came through our radio program on WKCR 89.9 FM from 90 to 98 had exceeded 300 million record sales in the 25 years that had passed. So there was a story there, and that was my second film. Showtime picked it up. Netflix picked it up. And so with those two in my pocket, I started getting some confidence, and I realized that in the space of autobiographical documentaries, there wasn't anything that I could find that was hip hop related or the narrative of people of color. Now, I'm not a platinum recording artist. I'm not a former NBA player. I thought up front that perhaps there may be people who would think I would be self-aggrandizing with an effort to create a story about myself. But the deeper I thought about it, I knew that my existence and what I've been through to get where I am now would be inspiring to people, and it has been. And if you have not watched the film Rock Rubber 45, you see the post in the background. I encourage you to, even if you didn't catch it today, free streaming on the ABC website. You can download it, stream it, rent it from rockrubber45s.com. And, bingo, I hit a target because the film came out in 2018. It didn't get the festival praise that my first two films got. It didn't get picked up by Netflix. It didn't get picked up by PBS or Showtime. So it's been a difficult climb trying to get it to the people, but I wound up doing over 100 screenings worldwide. Attended more than half of them myself to do Q&As, really just, targeting my audience, the people who love basketball, which is represented by rock in the title, sneaker culture, which is represented by rubber in the title, and 45s, which is for records, which you see back here, 45, 7 inches, if you don't know, vinyl, as well as hip hop. And so what my film and my life has represented was the matrix where basketball, sneakers, and music all kind of like intersect. And it's not just my story, but it's a story of like this global movement, really, that I've been so blessed to be a part of. I've had some amazing experiences sharing the film, particularly during the Q&A, because there's some delicate topics that I cross, uh, particularly being sexually abused as a kid, which during the Q&A has brought out the attention of people who have, both men and women, who have been through the same, and felt empowered by the film about how I dealt with it in my adulthood. I don't want to give away the film if you haven't watched it, but it's been a powerful, powerful exchange. I've had people come up to me afterwards and hug me. I've had people, you know, break out in tears. I've had people write me like, long, long emails the next day saying how the film changed their life, and towards that, it was worth everything to create the film Rock Over 45s. How it relates to ABC, there's a scene in the film about how ABC, A Better Chance, was transformative for me because as a young teenager growing up in New York, I was faced with a lot of quandaries and unsafe zones, between my household, between the parks that I was frequenting to play ball, and, the opportunity to leave Brooklyn Tech High School and attend Lower Merion High School, which at the time was one of the most well-funded and endowed public schools in the country. And we were also like, you know, spitting out like merit scholars, and the graduation rate was incredible, and all these things that were not the case for Brooklyn Tech, where I was in 1980 through 82. And in fact, while I did okay on all the standardized tests, I was recognized as a at-risk youth, because I had failed so many classes at Brooklyn Tech my freshman year, and essentially, I wasn't aware of the public school program that ABC offered. I was introduced to it by my friend Darryl Roberts, who went to Canterbury. So I thought ABC placed students of color in boarding schools and private day schools in your hometown. I wasn't aware that they had this public school program, which was kind of like a mix between a boarding school and a public school. So I lived in a house uh, about 2 miles away from Long Marion High School with 9 other ABC students. We were there with 2 resident guardians, 1 resident tutor, and we bonded very closely. Um and Ahmad Hooper, who became my best friend out of that experience and is still one of my best friends to this day. I'm age 54 now. I graduated from Lower Merion, 36 years ago? Kind of crazy, right? But our friendship has endured all these years, and so it's impossible to fit 50 years of one's life into a film, but it was imperative that I included my ABC experience in Rock Over 45s. Um, and it didn't hurt that I had the celebrity injection of meeting Patti LaBelle through the program, who was my host parent. And one Sunday a month, I would spend time with her and her husband at the time, Armstead Edwards, her son Yuri, um, and her other 2 children who were adopted. And they would cook for me. They would take me to the movies, or sometimes we would just hang out at the house and just do nothing and just have some downtime. But it was a very supportive environment. She was on the road a lot, so I didn't get to see her every single month. But I was very fortunate to get her to get on camera for the film. Um, and what she shared was just awesome. Like wow, like Patti LaBelle. you know. Um, Shout out to my man Dak Torado watching the stream right now. Another former ABC student and a dear friend from my block, 97th Street. Um, So anyway, back to Patti LaBelle. I was very happy to get her in the film to talk about how we met and how she nurtured my spirit as a 16, 17-year-old, not even realizing the pop icon that she was at the time. I didn't realize how big Patti LaBelle was until after I graduated. There was an event called Live Aid, and which was a huge fundraiser and an outdoor concert, and they performed "We Are the World," which Patti LaBelle was on. And here you have like 30 of the world's most famous singers. I'm talking about Bono from U2, Sting, Tina Turner, uh, Annie Lennox. I mean, you name it, like the biggest names in music, pop, rock, hip hop, you name it, were all on that stage. And Patti LaBelle got on the mic and cold ripped it. I mean, she cold shit on everybody. Like nobody wanted to get on the mic afterwards. And I was like, oh snap, that was my host parent at ABC. What? I wanted to include that in Rockable 45s, but didn't make it. All right, let me make sure that I'm seeing what y'all are saying. Private chat. Let's see the comments. Or okay. Hey Gianna, what's happening? And shout out to Kiddos, Mellis. Now let's get to the next question. Bang 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 bang. Where we at? Boom. So I can talk. Have you realized that? If you just tuned in, this is the ADC fundraiser. This is part of the alumni showcase. My name is Bobbito Garcia, aka Cool Bob Love, Lower Merion High School graduate, 1984 of the ABC program. I'm very proud of that fact. All right, second question. What is your all-time favorite sneaker and why? I get asked this question a lot. There's actually a scene in my film, Rockable 45s, and where I answered the question because it's not what people expect. I think most people see me as a collector, which I never have been. I have lent some of my sneakers to various cultural institutions and museums for the sake of academia and learning. I authored a book, Where'd You Get Those? New York City Sneaker Culture, 1960 to 1987. That's talked about in my film, Rockable 45s. I also hosted the first television series covering sneaker culture titled It's the Shoes for ESPN. 2019, I directed a series titled Sneaker Center for ESPN Plus, their streaming service. So I've been deep into the culture and I've done a lot for it. However, I think what's most dear to me is that I've been able to support various nonprofits with donations and with advocacy. So one in particular, Who's for Hope, was doing a lot of work in South Africa and Zimbabwe, and I covered them in my first magazine that I was editor in chief of, called Bounce from the Playground, and that was helpful to raise awareness for what they were doing in terms of reaching out to young people and providing them with not only basketball teaching and coaching, but life skills and HIV prevention, which was a huge problem in the continent. The second thing I did for them was feature them on It's the Shoes on ESPN network, which brought them to a national audience. And by virtue of that, they wound up raising a lot of money. They were able to erect a court in Harare, Zimbabwe, and they dedicated it in my name. And again, this is a scene in my film Rockable 45s. So I finally got to go down there to visit and teach a clinic. And one of the coaches had a pair of sneakers on that I had actually donated 5-6 years prior, which blew my mind. Those are my favorite sneakers, and that's why. And I would much rather you watch Rock Rubber 45s and get to that scene, because it's way more powerful uh, and impactful if you watch and see the footage of me in Zimbabwe with the children on the basketball court. And, just one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, really. So I think when people ask me, like, what's my favorite sneaker, they expect me to say, oh, the Air Force One, or, the, the Adidas, that I designed, or whatever. But now it's a pair of sneakers that I donated. All right. So we're 22 minutes in. Let's get to the next question. How did you collab? I see there's a lot of sneakerheads out there. Let's see. I think there's another question that's coming in here. Do you have a favorite court to play on? What are some cities that have great courts that surprised you? Okay. So I'm gonna get to that question. Well, my favorite court to play on is, surprise, surprise, the very first Parks and Recreation playground that I ever played on. My first jump shot was taken in the backyard of 120 West 97th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam. It was a private court, only for residents of the building. And the rim was like 11 feet high. It was wow, dumb high. Like nobody ever dunked on that court. It was a wood backboard, like crazy homemade DIY. There was no lines for the foul line or nothing like that. But the first time I ever played ball in an official like New York City outdoor court was at PS 163 Playground in 1977. I was 11 years old. Reginald Brignoli, my classmate from Holy Name, thank you. I don't know where you're at in your life these days, but much love, because he was the one on a lunch break that was like, yo, Bob, let's go over to PS 163. Now, at the time, I didn't know this. The court was known to the basketball community as the GOAT, GOAT, named after playground legend Earl Manigault, who in the early 1960s broke the New York City junior high school scoring record with like a 54-point performance. He then led Benjamin Franklin High School to the city championship. They didn't win, but they played at Madison Square Garden. And Earl Manigault at that time was, destroying people on every single playground in Harlem and the Upper West Side, alongside Lou Alcindor, who later on became the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a record that still holds to this day. Not Michael Jordan, not Kobe Bryant, not LeBron James have still touched Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar once said that Earl Manigault was the best guard he had ever seen play out of New York. Now, unfortunately, Earl fell to a drug addiction, wound up getting incarcerated, and never realized his potential as a pro player. That said, he dedicated his life to teaching the youth, and he actually mentored me as a child. Starting at 81, used to go to GOAT on 99th and Amsterdam. It's still there. And Earl was still dunking in his mid-30s after having operations and, the heroin addiction. It was incredible to see him play. And he loved my game, and I loved his spirit and his presence and his leadership, which was quiet, very quiet. Didn't say many words, but the nod was all you kind of needed. And I speak about this extensively in Rock Rubber 45s. So that's my favorite court to play on. And in 2013, I started a tournament called Full Court 21, the world and the sport's first ever organized presentation of 1-on-5 basketball, meaning whoever has the ball is on offense, everybody else on the court is on defense. No teammates, no coaches, no subs. It's you against the world. And in 2016, I moved the tournament to the GOAT to pay homage to my mentor and to the legend, but also to continue the legacy of global attention on 99th and Amsterdam, which is where I grew up. I live in Brooklyn now, but I want to continue the energy that has always existed in that playground since the early 70s when the court was first built. You can go to fullcourt21nyc.com to learn more about the tournament. I didn't do it this summer due to the pandemic, but hoping to return in 2021. Inshallah, or ojalá in Espanol. Second question is, what are some cities that I've been shocked about basketball, and that surprised me while touring the film, doing it in the park, Pickup Basketball NYC. Kevin Coolio, my collaborator, and I, we went to some amazing places, but the one that blew me away by far, leaps and bounds, was Manila in the Philippines. I would say that is the mecca for outdoor basketball worldwide. I mean, kids were playing barefooted and flip-flops in the middle of the street with traffic. I mean, cars heading towards them while they're playing. And a lot of makeshift courts because the love is so strong out there. There's no limit. There's no limit. So props to the Philippines for being so diehard about the sport that I love so much. But that said, I mean, New York is still the mecca. Everybody wants to play at West 4th and the Rucker. And, I'm very proud to have not only documented the sport here, but also be an active player still to this day at age 54, even through the pandemic. I still play almost every single day, weather permitting. So, yeah, man. All right. Let's see. What do you think of the relationship between hip hop and poetry and how they interact and play off of each other? Well, I mean, in the film Rock Rebel 45s, you'll see a scene about the New Rican Poets Cafe and my role in helping merge hip hop to spoken word, which started in the 90s. Prior, there were sort of like two separate camps. There was a spoken word camp that was very strong. There was some slams that were going on in various cities around the world. But the infusion of hip hop, jazz, and spoken word at the events that we used to do at the New Rican Poets Cafe, which actually prior to New Rican, we actually started at the Blue Note on Bleecker Street. And was the Blue Note? I'm bugging right now. Was it the Blue Note? I gotta look it up. It was an old jazz club that's no longer there, unfortunately. But we used to perform on the same stage that Thelonious Monk used to play his piano. In fact, Monk's piano was still on stage when I was hosting the Village Gate. I'm sorry, the Village Gate, not the Blue Note. We started the hip hop, poetry, jazz events at the Village Gate in I think 92 and 93. The gate closed and then we moved it to New Rican Poets Cafe. And that's when the explosion started. And spoken word artists who were of the generation of hip hop, highly influenced by hip hop, some were MCs and experimenting with spoken word. And it all just started to just mesh. Eventually, Def Poetry Jam came out, which was heavily influenced and in fact modeled after our events. Shout out to Rocky LaMontagne, the producer of the All That event at the New Rican, and shout out to Charlotte, who's the unheralded co-founder of the All That Showcase, which originally was called Bebop, for some minute and significant details about the event. And that showcase is still going on to this day. I left it in the late 90s to move on to other interests and efforts and endeavors. But yeah, I mean, my time on the mic, introducing the world. The first time Lemon Anderson ever performed was on my stage. He went on to be a Tony Award winner with Def Poetry Jam. He's performed the Nike commercials. I mean, you know, he's written scripts. He had a long running show at the Public Theater. Saul Williams, the first time he ever performed, was on my stage at the New Eurekan, and you know, he wound up starring in the film Slam, which was highly influential for spoken word worldwide. In fact, he wound up moving to France and releasing an album out there because of the film's popularity in that country. Um, so yeah, I mean, how has hip hop been influenced by poetry? I mean, hip hop is poetry, right? Spoken word, however, is not all hip hop. There's a lot of spoken word that has nothing to do with hip hop, and spoken word predates hip hop. So, you know, they have an interesting relationship, and you know, I like to see people speaking their mind and expressing themselves. And in each case, it has provided a platform, particularly for people of color, uh, which, you know, still to this day are a not fully voiced community. We see what's happening in current events, and you know, the explosion of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is still, you know, struggling, you know, to be heard. I mean, Taylor is not fully heard. You know, I mean, if our society cannot convict people who have murdered innocent Black people, then their voices are not being heard. So, salute to the spoken word community that is speaking out. Uh, Power to the hip hop community who is speaking out. I saw an incredible post by Black Thought and Maida Del Valle recently about 45 Lives. Check out the, the hashtag on Instagram. But all right, wow, I'm running out of time. So let me go to the next question. And if you just tuned in, my name is Bobbito Garcia, aka Cool Bob Love. This is uh, Alumni Showcase for a better chance to help raise funds for the nonprofit organization that has been supporting students of color since the early 1960s. That's older than me. I'm born in 1966. All right, so the question now is, how did your collaboration with Nike and Puma happen? Well, the Nike collaboration happened because, well, I mean, let's be real. I had been consulting Nike since 1993, as well as Wieden and Kennedy. And there was talks of me collaborating with them back in like 98, 99. And it just never happened. And then one of their design and marketing directors had asked me to, if I could have the shoe of my dream, what would it be? And I told him Air Force One with burgundy suede and a gum bottom. 3 years later, they wound up handing that to me as a one of one, but still no collab. And then the era of collabs started happening, and it was like weird. Like everyone who was doing a collab, Stash, De La Soul, was coming to me like, "Yo, what do you think? Oh, word! Like, yo, you like them?" Like, and so I had to like kind of bark at Nike and be like, "Look, you know, everyone you're doing collabs with is looking for my approval, and you've been talking to me about doing a collab for like 7, 8 years. Like, what's up?" And so Fraser Cook who was a legend in London in the sneaker world, was working at the swoosh at the time, and he made it happen. I wound up doing 7 sneakers for the Nike Air Force One 25th anniversary. To this day, I don't know anyone who has collaborated and done that many colors of one model in 1 year. It was a big deal. And they are still selling to this day. I mean, they sold out, but I mean, secondhand, I've seen them on eBay for like $600 or whatever, which is cool, which is great. The collab with Puma happened because I've done a number of collabs, including Proked, Adidas, Piola, um, K1X, and Nike. And in 2015, Puma approached me about being involved with the Puma Clyde, which was like, whoa, the iconic Puma Clyde, you serious? So I rocked that for them. And that shoe came out, did very well. Did so well, in fact, that they asked me to return and do a collaboration with them for the 50th anniversary of the Puma Suede, which got released in 2018. So props to Puma, props to Nike, props to Adidas, Prokeds, K1X, Piola, all the brands that have given me like just the dream opportunity to, decide on colors and fabrics and logos and box design. It's been just a surreal experience for someone who, and all this didn't make my film. This is something that I wanted to be included in Rock Rubber 45s, but again, like you do a 90-minute film on, 50 years of someone's life, it's impossible to fit everything in. So thank you for that question. All right, let's get to the next question. So the next question is, what was it like being in NBA Street Volume 2? All right, well, that was kind of exhausting. For those who don't know, EA Sports was producing video games for basketball and decided to take a curveball and create NBA Street, which did very well for them. But for Volume 2, they wanted something more authentic and more New York. So they approached me and flew me out to Vancouver. And it turned out that the script was written by a bunch of hockey players, which is the most popular sport in Canada. So no surprise. Not to say basketball fever isn't strong. Toronto Raptors just won last year, but we're talking about 2003. So I told him, I said, look, I'll do the script, but you gotta let me ad lib and you gotta let me improvise and you gotta let me create my own lines. And they were like, yes, please, please. So they had me up there for 5 days, 8 hours a day, screaming at the top of my lungs. That's like a pizza with no slice. Just saying, hey, don't go. And it was a lot of fun. I paid very well. And they were so happy with my performance that they asked me to do the national TV spot, which made a lot of noise because that was the one where I was on top of a rooftop saying, "Street ball will never be the same." And you can find that on YouTube. That's another thing that didn't make Rock Rubber 45s. Again, just impossible to fit everything in my life in the film. But an experience I was very proud of. I also did Volume 3, and then EA Sports went a different direction for Volume 4. But I wound up appearing in NBA 2K8, 2K9, and 2K10 as the announcer for the dunk contest. Now, funny story. I had never played video games prior to doing the EA Sports ones, and really haven't played them since. I played NBA Street Volume 2 once against a 13-year-old who spanked me. But ultimately, people should know that I'm not really a spectator. I didn't watch any games in the NBA Finals, haven't in years. I'm a ball player first before I'm a spectator. I love to see great basketball played, don't get me wrong, but I have a lot on my plate and I have a child and, he's my priority. And so, yeah, I will get back to watching basketball as a pastime down the road. But if I only have an hour in a day, I'm going out to the park and putting up jumpers. That's my safe space. That's my therapy. That's my activity. That's my exercise. I'm 54 years old. During the pandemic, I'm proud to say that I've become in better shape than I have been in a long time. I'm actually at the same weight that I was when I was playing at Lower Merion High School. Uh, since March 11th, I've been plant-based, jumping rope, playing ball. So, I'm thankful for the blessings, and I know I'm going off topic, but in any event, we can go to the next question. Who is out there? If you're in the chat rooms, holla, man. I want to know. I want to know you enjoying this. Hopefully you are listening and getting something out of this. I'm speaking from my heart here. All right. Ha 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 ha. The question is: at the end of Rock Rebel 45, you mentioned your son. Is he a ball player? Uh, my son is 6 years old right now. He's going to turn 7 soon. And he likes basketball, but he's 6, and I have no intention of forcing him to do drills or, encouraging him to learn the game. I am fully fulfilled as a ball player. I'm not trying to, relive my career through my son. If he ever catches the fever, I will fully facilitate and support that. Um, but it's up to him. He loves drawing. He loves graffiti. He takes graffiti classes. He loves riding his bicycle. He loves to run. He loves math and writing and reading. He's read over 500 books since the pandemic started. Literally, I'm not even joking. So, wherever his interests take him, you know, his mother and I, we foster him with self-directed learning as a premise, and we just facilitate. So, would I love to see him fall in love with basketball? Sure, but it's fine if he doesn't. It's fine as long as he doesn't fall in love with soccer. I think I'm all right. All right. Shout out to Jose Garcia. The question from him: is there anything you want to create that you haven't created yet? Well, that's a great question. I have a bunch on the horizon, Jose. Um, and ultimately, on the life bucket list, I think I've already checked off everything. But we live in an interesting time, and where my interest will roll to, I don't know. Um, Stretch, my former radio partner, is once again my radio partner. We're about to debut a new radio show on October 22nd. I can't quite yet say the platform, but it is huge and available worldwide. Um, and you can subscribe to it. So please follow at Stretch and Bobbito on Instagram, or just follow at Cool Bob Love. That's with a K, for information. But the broadcast debut will be Thursday, October 22nd, from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And we will have our radio show every 2 weeks for the next 6 months. And if it does well, uh, we'll continue. Stretch and I also have a podcast on the horizon with a platform that I can't mention just yet. Stretch and I also, this was on the bucket list for a long time, was we have a band called the M19s, and we produced an album titled No Request, which debuted in January of this year. We were set to go on tour. We did our debut concert at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., our country's official cultural center. And the pandemic hit. So that was unfortunate. But we're moving forward, and we're about to release some new music. And I can tell you what we have done. We've taken freestyles from our radio show with Big L, Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, Method Man, Ghostface, Mobb Deep, on and on. And we have remixed them. We have remixed the acapellas of those freestyles with technology that wasn't available until this year, 2020, and laid down new instrumentals with our band, the M19s, and that's dropping October 23rd. So a lot of activity on the horizon. and I hope that you participate and enjoy all of it. I also have a Patreon page that you can subscribe to for $5 a month. Patreon.com/coolboblove. And, there I'm posting exclusive content, video, DJ mixes, photos, and that I'm not posting anywhere else. So those are all the things that I look to continue to develop and grow. But as far as what I haven't created yet, I don't know. I don't know. Ask me that question again in 5 years. All right. The next question. Oh, and we are running out of time. That is incredible. Do you miss having a store? Running a successful storefront in NYC is an amazing accomplishment, but also notoriously difficult. Would you try again? Okay, well, you are hitting a lot of pinpoints that I can't talk about, but Stretch and I are on the precipice of developing a concept for a shop, which I can't talk about yet. So, would I open up another sneaker store? No, I wouldn't do that. I already did that. If you want information about my shop, Bobbito's Footwork, which was opened up in New York, as well as Philadelphia, shout out to Rich Medina, my partner down there. Watch my film, Rock Rebel 45s. You can look up Bobbito's Footwork on Google, and you will find that complex.com has featured it in numerous articles. In one, the number one sneaker store or number one hip hop store, shop, boutique of all time. In one article that was years ago. Yeah, I mean, it was a shop that came before its time, and a lot of people recognize it as the first sneaker boutique, as we know boutiques, as we view them today. And I was just too early, and that's fine. But yeah, lost a lot of money doing that. Won't do it again. Moving on to other things. All right. Next question. How did not knowing Spanish growing up affect your understanding and placement in Puerto Rican culture? Well, not knowing Spanish growing up did at times make me feel less Boricua than I might have otherwise, because I was constantly reminded by Spanish speakers, oh, tú no eres Boricua si tú no hablas español. Like if you don't speak Spanish, then you're not Puerto Rican, and hurtful comments like that. And instead of trying to welcome me or invite me to learn, I felt kind of like outcast. And so in my 40s, I decided to not blame anyone else but myself. And I took it upon myself to learn the language. And in the last 14 years, have strengthened my vocabulary and my ability to converse. I'm still not fluent completely, but I can have moderate conversations. Can order food and ask for to give a taxi driver directions. I've done interviews live on national TV in Puerto Rico, which was nerve-wracking, but I've gotten by, and very proud of that, and have become sort of a beacon of inspiration for other Boricuas and people of various nationalities who have adopted Spanish as a language that they want to learn in their adulthood. And it's been nice to share with them, the ways that I was able to learn. But ultimately, I mean, me really advocating. I mean, you see my T-shirt, it says "Fui Puerto Rico." Soy un independentista. I believe in the sovereign right of my island to be self-governed and to determine their taxes and foreign policy and their relationships with other uh, surrounding islands and countries and all that. And I would love to see my people there become more self-sufficient. Clearly, we cannot depend on the United States to um, solve all of our problems uh, because the government here has their own self-interest in our island's position for the military, in the economic uh, like paradise that it is, in terms of uh, corporate benefits that have been given to brands that have opened up factories there, and been given tax breaks. You see a lot of Bitcoin millionaires moving down there for the tax breaks, and so there's a lot of money that could be generated on the island that would benefit the island. Um, you see the Jones Act, which prevents the people there uh, from growing their own food. I mean, I think like 75% of the food eaten on the island is even grown on the island. Meanwhile, we have fertile land, even though it's been destroyed by, corporate greed down there, pollution, whatever. It's a long, long, long story. I can go on about that for a long time. We run out of time. But yeah, man, I love my people. Okay, do you have any words of advice for young children of color who want to pursue their passion in the creative industries as you have? Yes, I would say first and foremost, um, watch my film. Like literally, it was when I was writing the script and treatment for it. Uh, you know, it was in my mind to provide a blueprint for other freelance creatives to see what it's like to have an idea, uh, transform it into a business, and then actually succeed at that endeavor. Because it's one thing to be creative; it's another thing to have the savvy know-how on how to monetize your ideas, and that's difficult. It's something that a lot of people have not figured out. Some people are very creative, and other people figure it out for them. Um, and some people are very creative and partner with people who figure it out how to make money from their ideas. But the ultimate is when you can do it yourself. Uh, it's self-empowering, um, and you know, I I'm blessed that I've been able to do so many different uh, projects in basketball, music, and sneakers. And hit it on the nose in each one, and miss on a lot too. If you see my film in the narrative, so I made a lot of mistakes, and that's how you learning from mistakes is a wonderful thing, and that's what I would impart on young people. There's no replacement for hard work, and all the keys to being a freelance creative are all in my film. So watch it 2 times, 3 times, and learn. All right. What's a piece of advice you can give to creators? I think I just answered that in the last answer. So, how hard is it as an independent filmmaker to get a film off the ground? Wow. If there are any filmmakers in this meeting, feel more than welcome to email me at coolboblove. I'm sorry, info at coolboblove.com. And that's cool with a K. Or you could DM me on Instagram, coolboblove, KoolBoblove, Facebook as well. And I can share links with you. I also do independent consulting uh, for $25 per 10 minutes, and happy to do a Zoom. And I have done this with other up and coming filmmakers to help people figure out how to navigate that space. There are phenomenal websites like nofilmschool.com that are very helpful. Um, uh, um, Sundance has a wonderful website. that's very helpful to up and coming filmmakers. So there's a lot of information out there. You're in a good space because you know, information is not hard to find anymore. Still doesn't replace research and effort and hard work, but it's out there for you to find, and I can help you figure it out if needed. All right. So large gatherings are on hold. How do you see DJs adapting? We have been adapting by doing virtual DJ sets. Myself and DJ Stretch have been doing shows every week on IG Live at 10 p.m. We're going to move our mix show to another platform starting October 22nd. I can't announce the platform just yet, but it's right around the corner. Follow me at Cool Bob Love with a K on Instagram for the announcement. Yeah, I mean, I think I miss DJing in front of a crowd. I mean, it's nothing like that, you know, just hearing the booming sound system and seeing people dance and sweating and, coming up to, yo, what record is that? And, it's just like an energy that becomes like the spiritual, like, combination between the tone of the music and the dance floor, and it's just wonderful. But we'll get back to that. I'm hopeful, trying to stay positive through this pandemic, that we will get back to being together in the same rooms and without distancing, without masks. In time, we need to be patient for that though, so that we get there in a healthy manner. My man Dak Torado is asking me, do I ever show any of my photos at galleries? I have had my images included in a number of exhibitions. I've had my cassettes at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I've had my sneakers and photos at the Museum of the City of New York. In fact, right now, there's an exhibition called City Game. And I lent 2 of my sneakers, as well as about like 9 or 10 of my photos to the exhibition. And my photos are also in the accompanying book titled City Game, which was released by Rizzoli Publishing. I actually wrote a chapter for the Rizzoli book as well, titled City Game. So, but I'm not a professional photographer. So when my photos are requested, I'm happy to share them. But I haven't really necessarily peddled my photos at galleries. Maybe one day, who knows? All right, I think it's 8 o'clock, people. Let me look at the way to. Let's see. All right, let's close this. And so I want to thank everyone who submitted questions for the Q&A, and for tuning into the the last session of Creating Leaders for a Lifetime Alumni Showcase. Creating Leaders for a Lifetime was created to address the lost revenue from the A Better Chance Annual Awards Luncheon. Below me, you'll find an online donation form. I encourage you to provide whatever you can. Could be $1, could be $5, could be a lot more than that. And to support the nonprofit organization. I'm grateful for what ABC did for my life. It's transformative. I know that it's done the same for thousands of students of color dating back to the 1960s. And just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you to ABC. Thank you to Lower Merion. Shout out to Bob, my resident tutor who passed away in 1985, a year after I graduated from Lower Merion. I want to thank Charlotte Hunter, who was my resident tutor at Lower Merion my senior year. magically, she was a Wesleyan student taking a year off, and that heavily affected my decision to apply to Wesleyan. And the fact that I actually got in was a blessing. Another school that transformed my life. And I just got nothing but gratitude. So shout out to ABC, yo. Rock on, yo. Peace.